Deep from the mountains of Colorado Springs, this is your late night mystery radio.
What music do you have going there in the background?
Yes, yes, I do.
Why not? I- I'm delayed? I don't think I'm delayed. I think you're delayed.
Could it be the music that you're playing?
I guess anything's possible. Let me see. Let me turn off the music. Okay, music's off. Oh, there we go. Perfect. John, can you talk one more time?
Are you sure you really want me to do that?
Still back it in my head, but that's fine. I'm go with it. Let me just make sure John's coming through.
Well, what do you mean you have echo? It's on the stream echoing, or
No, it's just in my headphones. I don't know why. I'll mess with it. Let me see. Hold on for a second. All right. I think everybody's on the stream. Um, so we're just gonna go ahead and go with it, and I'll try to ignore this echo for now and see if I can fix it.
that's not gonna work? Where are you streaming to? Not on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. All right. So let me go ahead and move OBS over to this monitor, and then I'll share screen with you guys on Skype so you can see what is.
Oh, it says live now. Look at that. Oh, you're only on one channel too, or oh,
All right. What's that, John?
I'm listening to the stream, and you're only coming in one channel.
I'm only coming in one channel.
Yeah, yeah, you're only coming in on the right.
Is that what you hear, Thomas?
What? I through my headphones, I hear you doing both channels.
No, on the YouTube stream.
Oh,
I won't worry about that. Maybe my balance is off. Yeah, that's probably better. What if this is just? What if this is why I'm monitor off?
mm.
See if that gets rid of the echo. Ah, that got rid of the echo. I wonder if I'm still. Can you still hear me on the? Do you still have the stream open, John?
I do.
Is that
Frank says it sounds fine.
so?
I'm just Frank now.
From the clapping to now, you guys are still echoing. Hold on a second. Monitor off. Oh, that must be with that. Oh wait, monitor. Monitor only mute. Monitor off. Monitor off. Okay, that's probably my echo issue. So, if from this point, if everybody's still on the stream, we're just gonna go for it.
I think I think you sound good. You sound fine now.
All right.
I don't know what you changed, or maybe I was wrong. Who knows?
Okay, if you're listening to the show, we're gonna go ahead and kick off with this. If we happen to lose audio, I probably won't be switching scenes today because I haven't caught all the scenes up. But if somebody's audio goes out, Frank, if you can just ping me on Slack or right here in the chat, that would be appreciative. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and kick it off. Thank you guys for bearing with me on that. I appreciate that. I've been wanting to go back over to OBS for a while, so. Okay.
So are you still doing restream and streaming everywhere or no?
Yeah, it's still on restream and streaming everywhere. So we're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, blah blah blah. Okay, it's that time of the week again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to PHP Ugly, episode 178, and I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson. With me are my friends, John Congdon.
Hello.
And Thomas Rideout.
Ahoy, hoy!
Thomas added blur to his camera.
The blurry Thomas Rideout. Oh shit! We forgot to start local recording.
That's true.
Where you guys are supposed to have my back on that. Jeez. All right, local recording in 3, 2, 1. Clap check. 3, 2, 1. Okay, children.
Glad you realized that when you did.
Okay, children, it's that time of the week again. Episode 178 of PHP Ugly is on the air. I'm your host,
Deja vu.
Eric Johnson, and with me, like as if the first time ever, John Congdon.
Hello.
And Thomas Rideout.
Ahoy, hoy!
You didn't have as much enthusiasm in the second time there, Thomas.
Well, I cracked a beer into the microphone the first time, and then I can't uncrack it and crack it again.
I'm sorry.
Very upsetting.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody's week? I had an exciting week, so I can't wait to dive into this, but I don't want to hog the entire show. So, how's everybody's week?
Good and bad. Good and
Bad?
Well, okay, bad is a little strong. Good and not so good.
Well, what was the not so good?
Just work in general, things. There's always crap going on, right? So dealing with clients can be a huge pain. That struggle.
I hear it.
And to the point where Eric's threatening to quit. And I'm like, no, not yet. Quit next week.
What? Wait, what's next week have to do with anything? How is there a better time for me to quit, first off? That has
the life insurance kicks in.
No. Sometimes it's really hard not to have a knee-jerk reaction to some clients.
Yeah.
You know,
especially for me. I have a tendency to wear my emotions on my sleeve, and there's no question about that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Hey, fuck you, man. No, wait, what?
So, just like, not necessarily, how do you say this? It's just like having a job where you need to walk away from the job at the right time. You have to be prepared. The same thing goes with clients. You can't just have a knee-jerk reaction and tell them to go screw themselves. Unless you're that big, which we're not. So
For the record,
unfortunately,
nobody told anybody to go screw themselves. My emotions weren't that raw.
He muttered it under his breath, but didn't say it to the person.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I definitely have issues, and one of my bigger issues is when I feel like I'm being disrespected. And I don't care who you are, I don't care what the situation is. If you're disrespecting me, we're going to have a problem moving forward. And we're in this meeting with this client. It's a long-standing client, and everybody's frustrated about a project, and we're trying. It's now bubbled up to the heads of the company. So it's myself, John, and the head, the owner of the company we're working with, and basically his right hand man. And so now we've been in meetings for weeks to kind of baby step this project through, and we got to the point where it's like John and I couldn't get 2 words in without just getting ridiculed and shut down. Basically, like every conversation we try to have, he was like slamming the door.
This wasn't me, was it?
No. And it's a tough situation because again, these are clients. This is big clients to us. I mean, this is a lot of money, but I have a level of integrity, and if you're not going to respect us, and you're not going to respect our role, then why are we in a relationship together? And this is the conversation that I wanted to start having, but I did probably say some inappropriate thing. I mean, basically I tried to say something, he said something, and I just said, all right, well, I'm done. I mean, if you're not going to let me talk, there's no reason for me to try to have a conversation with you. And,
yeah.
it was probably a little out of line, but I don't know. It didn't seem like any other conversation was moving forward.
It was just really unfortunate that his mother had recently passed.
Man, don't even get me started. But, so yeah,
I promise not to.
that was a rough meeting. You're right. I definitely didn't make it better, but I don't know. I definitely want some integrity, and I want. I don't know. It's a rough patch right now all around because it's been a long process and everybody's frustrated. And the client has more right than anybody to be the most frustrated because it's been his money, it's been his vision, his goal that's he doesn't feel like it's being achieved. That's tough. It's hard. It's hard to admit that. I mean, it's hard to sit here and tell listeners, hey, we've been working on a project, and the client who a couple of years ago was coming to us saying we would be out of business had you guys not stepped in and saved my company. Now telling us that we can't seem to get anything done for him correctly. And I don't enjoy having that conversation. I don't enjoy telling you guys about it, but it's life. I mean, it's where it's at, and that's how quickly things change in the world of business. I mean, you're the savior one day, and you're the exact opposite the next.
Scapegoat the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other fun one.
I was going to say that was John's week. Eric, how was your week?
John's week is basically Eric pissing everybody off.
Yeah, causing me a lot of stress there. I think I mentioned it before. I work with a team for one of our clients, and we've been doing the 6-week sprint that just wrapped up. And it's been a learning process. It's been good. And one of the things that bit me this week drove me absolutely insane. And it harkens back to an article in this month's PHP Architect magazine talking about code review and how your PR should be around a theme and have a single focus. If you're working on a new feature, should be just that feature. If you're working on refactoring, it should just be that refactor. But we're in the 6-week sprint, huge feature, and one of the things I work on was calling another method. I look at that method and realize, well, this is stupid. It's first of all, it had 7 lines of code to trim the comma off the end of a string instead of just using the trim function. But that's beside the point. I, you, I mean, you gotta love legacy code. It is a decade old, so I'm sure at the time
that's pretty rough though.
Yeah, it was an interesting find. But in there, as a team, we've been trying to get really diligent about return types. If your method is supposed to return an array, it should always return an array, not an array or false. So I'm in this method, it's returning false, and I look, nothing is expecting that, nothing is doing with anything with it. So I change it to return an empty array. Outside of that, we are using count.
Using nothing. What?
Using counts, trying to get the count.
Yes.
Trying to get the count of this array, trying to figure out what's, if there's stuff in there, do something. If not, don't worry about it. Lo and behold, code I added to that outside method a couple years ago relied on a very weird side effect of count false. Count false was returning 1, and I wasn't even expecting it. I didn't need the count. I didn't do anything with it, but a side effect of this whole function relied on having some sort of count there. So this code goes live, goes into production. I've told them, the changes don't affect anything. We put this sprint code out there kind of as getting it in there, but nothing was actually using it except for these couple of small pieces of the code that we actually touched. And I reassured them, I've tested, it doesn't affect anything, code will be just fine. Sure enough, they released it on Wednesday, and shit hit the fan. Like, all of a sudden, a core piece of the business stopped working. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. We jump into a Zoom room trying to figure out what's going on, and for the life of me, I can't. It's a small population of users that it's affecting, and we can't figure out why. And it finally turns out that's what it is. This one piece of code that doesn't use count at all was relying on this weird side effect.
That's rough.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
and
that's our life right now. John brings down one client's core business, and they're still happier with him than my primary client is with us.
That sounds right.
I tweeted out there, and Tim, who's working on the same sprint, says, "Sounds like you found code that needs to be unit tested." Like, no shit, Sherlock. But even still, unit testing that, I don't think would have found that problem because it was such a weird one. So weird.
Yeah.
That's isn't that the core of unit testing is that you write tests for when a bug occurs and you find the fix for it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're doing DDD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of unit tests.
Yes, speaking of unit tests.
How was my week? It was great. Speaking of unit tests, PHP Unit 9 came out. Lots and lots of backward-breaking changes. Not a whole lot as far as new functionality, but it does start the process of integrating the new functionality of PHP 7 4.
What functionality is that?
Just like inherent support for 7.4, being able to reflect and understand it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna let you skate though. Wait, you don't just start diving into stories. We're all spilling our hearts out.
I'm not.
Well, so what was the first of all, were the backward breaking changes documented?
Very well documented, yes.
But they bit you in the ass, is what it sounds like.
No, I'm not using it. I don't unit tests.
You bring up the story like you were negatively affected by it.
No, not in the slightest bit.
Oh, come on.
I was
Um,
just messaging you to do that.
It's on your screen. You're sharing your screen.
Oh, that's right. It's like a camera. Either you're starting to slouch more and more, your camera's moving because your eyes are getting lower and lower to the edge. Jeez.
I had an interesting Wednesday. I had a message come in that says, "Hey, we've got this project that's supposed to go out on Wednesday that's being done by other people. It's supposed to be end of day, and we're running into blockers that are completely halting everything, and you're the only one who can take it. So we need you to hop in and find these blockers and fix them so that we can roll this out at 6:00 today."
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was a fun sudden dash to the finish line.
Yeah,
Did you make it?
Of course, I always make it.
I'm still not letting you off the hook. We had a conversation last week that you had some sort of interview. Are we?
That's tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And I'm crazy nervous.
Yeah.
Just because I've been doing lots of studying, lots of paying attention to what it is that I know and do and how that would be different, and understanding the role change and what that would mean. And reflecting on my history and sort of pre-interviewing myself.
A little soul searching. That's good.
Little bit. Really been playing with Postman a lot. I want to understand everything that's in there. It is such a gigantic, flexible tool, and I didn't ever use it to its fullest capacity. And I just find everything I find in there I love. Mock servers, documentation, importing public APIs. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I do that.
So you can search for the Twitter ad API and pull that in and test it out and play with it. Such cool stuff. And then sort of looking at how the workspaces component works so that in a team environment, if I were in charge of something, how would I manage that? Yeah. So a lot of that kind of stuff. A little bit of DevOps stuff, research and just focus. But yeah, it's a little stressful.
Oh, good luck, man. I'm sure you'll do fine. Just relax. Be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up my activity on Twitter. I told you last week that I'm just sort of participating a little more than I used to, and trimming my Twitter feed and adding some people who I should have been following from the start. So yeah, that's generally been my week, is stressing myself out and working and researching when there's no work to do.
Cool. Well, we had our meetup this week, our SDPHP meetup. And
oh yes.
Oh man, was it good? So we had for the first I believe for the first time ever we had a remote presenter. Was that it?
I saw that.
We've had remote before.
You had Taylor. You had Taylor remote for the San Diego Lug.
Well, we did. We interviewed Taylor. I mean, it wasn't a true remote. This was a true remote presentation. I mean, we weren't having a conversation with the person. But we had Caleb Porzio, I think his last name is. He's real big in the PHP community. But you guys might remember last year when I got back from LaraCon, I was all jazzed about Livewire, which was a project Caleb...
Like it was yesterday, I remember that.
Caleb had released it and I was just blown away. I'm like, this is the next big thing in Laravel. This is going to be huge. And like, it was weird because it didn't seem to get as much traction as I anticipated. I thought this thing was going to hit like an atomic bomb, but it didn't. It was kind of like it was something that it kind of got quiet again, and then it started building back up recently. And he presented this Livewire along with another project that he started that kind of goes hand in hand with Livewire called Alpine JS. And my God, did he just recharge my excitement for this package, for this workflow, for these ideas. Um, I tell you what, he's going to. So I'm pretty sure what he did was he did a pre. He's going to be presenting at Laracon Online, and I think that's what he was doing. He was kind of doing his run through of his Laracon Online presentation. You guys wait till you see it. John actually missed the meetup last night, so he actually didn't even get an opportunity to see it. Everybody there was absolutely blown away. Um, I was just as excited as the first time I'd seen it. I started to implement it on an administrative panel that we have for a client. And then but like I said, it just wasn't really getting like a lot of. I didn't think it was getting a lot of attention in the community, and I'm like, well, I was getting nervous about implementing it because it still hadn't hit release one. It didn't seem to have a ton of people interested in support, so I'm like, I don't want to implement this because it's a huge change in how you do things. Uh, I didn't want to implement it, and then it just kind of goes away. But after the talk last night, all I'm going to say, again, watch his talk in Laracon Online. I'm sure it's just going to be just as impressive. But he really has me questioning my use of Vue.js moving forward. Like, had you asked me a year ago, even after Laracon, I would always tell you every Laravel project I spin up, I'm going to add Tailwind for my CSS, and I'm going to add Vue.js for the JavaScript. That's just going to be boilerplate for me. There's no reason for me not to do that. After this presentation, I I I will backtrack on that. I don't know when I'll use Vue.js again. I mean, I'm not saying I'm completely walking away from Vue.js, but I still have the struggle with Vue that I've always had. I'm not coding in it every day. And Vue is changing enough that when I go back to it, when I need to do some coding in it, it's different enough. So I'm having to relearn things, and it's frustrating to me. And because of the nature of Livewire and now this Alpine JS, a lot of that struggle gets removed. A lot of the struggle gets removed. So I I don't want to spoil the presentation, but you guys want to watch Laracon Online this year, and you want to watch Caleb's presentation on Livewire. And he even kind of hinted that Taylor is embracing it, and like maybe potentially it's going to become more of a first class citizen in Laravel. And I was very excited to hear that, and I totally see that. Like it would make complete sense for this to become a first class citizen, and maybe even become part of the Laravel release and not be a standalone package just because of its behavior. It's dare I say groundbreaking. I mean, it's something that no other no other framework does out of the box. Like no other PHP framework does what Livewire does.
So Laracon Online is just a week and a half away.
Yep. Yes, it's coming up quickly. Or is it a week and a half or 2 weeks? I thought it was like the 25th. Oh yeah,
26th.
I guess that would be a week and a half, huh? Yeah.
Bad. It would be.
Yeah. So yeah, check that out. But then to capitalize on that, um, since I had Caleb with me last night, You guys may recall that last week we were talking about a tweet that Caleb put out about leveraging uh, HTTP endpoints as Laravel models.
Yes.
And I,
And that tweet caused a stir all over the web.
yeah, that's exciting stuff. And then John mentioned, well, that seems like that would be a perfect marriage for Couch. I'm like, wow, you're right. That would be a perfect marriage for a CouchDB data store. And so right away I started hacking away trying to get it to work, but I was having all these little issues. So I tweeted at Kayla, but I'm nobody. I wasn't even a blink on his radar. He never even saw it. But I had him on the phone yesterday, last night. I said, hey, I tried this, and he's kind of talking through it with me, and he didn't offer a lot of advice, but the one thing he said is he goes, well, are you getting an array? I'm like, well, no, it's not an array. Couch returns JSON, but in your tweet, you were hitting GitHub's JSON endpoint, so you were dealing with JSON. He goes, oh no, but at the end of ZTTP, I put that -JSON on there. I'm like, yeah, I just assumed that was you telling ZTTP what sort of response it should be expecting. He goes, oh yeah, no, that's misleading. No, that actually tells it to take the JSON and convert it to an array. I'm like, oh, so then that got me thinking, and it's like, okay, well, I'm doing something wrong here. And I actually spent some time today doing it, and lo and behold, bam! Thanks to a lot of help from another DiegoDev guy, David, it's QT on Twitter. He's a huge CouchDB person, and I got on the phone with him. I'm like, listen, I feel like I'm just about to get this to work, but I'm having some problems. Can you help me with a few things? And he's like, okay, well let's create a view because it's better with indexing and this and that, and we did all this, and I got it working. So it's like you have a database in CouchDB, you define a model, you point it to that database, and lo and behold, you have eloquent access, an eloquent model of that database. I was so excited. I'm still excited about it. I haven't even done anything else with it. I'm still excited about it. I'm like, I want to use it on a project now.
Well, I retweeted you to hopefully boost your
reach.
boost your reach by my, I think, 100 followers.
Yeah.
How do you even find that?
Find what?
It's on your profile page.
190.
That's not bad. 190.
Respectable.
You're rocking it.
Oh, I've noticed that when I reply to people on Twitter, I get a bunch of followers every time.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, it turns out using the platform is the way you use the platform.
Yeah, you got to be active. What do we got? You've got PHP Ugly's got 433 followers. That's rocking. All right, so that was my big thing, man. I was so happy to get that done this week or today. I'm like, I couldn't believe it once I had it. It's like it was just like once it's working, it's like, okay, well, it works. Wow, that was fun. It's like, I don't have anything to do with it, but it works. So hey, that's awesome.
Well, I'm sure David was excited to help you with it because he really wants to use some sort of NoSQL within some projects.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing about that tweet was that's the first time any of us had seen ZTTP.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it was the first time for like a ton of people, because all of a sudden I'm seeing tweets constantly about ZTTP to the point where Taylor has actually said he's considering including it in the next version of Laravel.
I saw that mention, yeah.
So it's funny to me how those things work out, where like the video wasn't even about that. It was just something that he knew of that other people didn't know about. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that took off from it.
Isn't that Adam Wathan's package? I don't know. I might be just totally making that up. I just thought I had remembered seeing that. No, it's not. It's not Adam Wathan. It's Kitetail. Oh wait, Kitetail. Who's Kitetail? It's Adam Wathan. Or at least he's the maintainer according to Packagist. Adam Wathan is the maintainer of that. So,
It's the only repo in that username.
I noticed Caleb was doing that too. Like for Livewire, it's Livewire, like the repo is Livewire, and for his Alpine
Right.
JS, it's Alpine JS Alpine. That seems like such a pain in the ass to do, but I guess
I
something.
think it makes sense when you look at how people split up API documentation, JavaScript, Go. It's if there's 20 things in the package that are maintained separately, it makes sense.
Yeah. So this is Adam Wathan's package, and it is just a wrapper. He even says in here, simple wrapper, simple guzzle wrapper. I mean,
So it still requires guzzle. So if you want to use that, you still can.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, but
I just don't like that it's called
into.
I just don't like that it's called ZTTP because I'm assuming it's a protocol, but it's really not. So now I'm confused.
I get it. Yeah.
It's just you.
No, it's not just me, liar. I started typing ZTTP:// and man, things just didn't work. I didn't really do that.
Did you guys know that PHP 8 is slated for December of this year?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, you knew it was coming out this year.
I did. Thanks for telling me what I know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I knew it was this year. I didn't really know when, but December is about as late this year as you can get.
Oh, well,
Is that all you had? I'm sorry. No,
that was all I had for that.
Sorry. It wasn't as exciting as getting CouchDB into an Eloquent model, but whatever. I think
so. I have a new pull request that I saw today that really changes stuff for me. It probably won't change a lot for you guys, but this is a big deal for me. The HTML standard is a living document. So they use GitHub to manage, what it gets and what it doesn't get and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, did I say HTTP? I meant HTML.
Oh, you did say HTTP. Okay, HTML.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the HTML standard is a living document, and they occasionally add new features to it, whatever. But this feature is one of the biggest ones I've seen in a long time. They've added lazy loading to the standard for HTML.
How would that work in HTML?
There's a pull request. I believe that it's just a.
So does it just only load whatever is rendered and whatever is not rendered? It just.
What visible is the issue.
That's what I meant. Yeah, like visible. Yeah, better word.
So if an image is specified as lazy load and it's not within the viewport, then it doesn't load immediately. Or if it's just outside of the viewport, it'll preload.
Okay.
I haven't reviewed the entire pull request.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
Huge specifications for how you define certain things, and it's interesting. But it looks like it'll allow for separate images to be defined based off of the size of the device, the DPI. So you can do all sorts of stuff with that, which I've seen done with JavaScript in the past.
You can. Nice.
Yeah, you can set source set equals and then different images depending on the device pixel ratio. So this is a big thing for the Apple Watch, phones, iPads. They all have different device pixel ratios. And you'll see a lot of places out there where people have images that are named image.jpg and then image-x2.jpg.
Mm.
So now that's part of the standard, and that's for a company that deals heavily in images, that's a pretty awesome new standard.
So John, we had a DiegoDev question in Discord.
Yeah.
Ryan, I don't know if you want to answer this one, but you're more than welcome to. It's nothing too tricky. He asked, did DiegoDev happen to have a large amount of mobile app development last year? Would you say it's comparable to the amount of web apps you built? What do you say to that, John?
I want to say we had a large amount. The only mobile apps we've really had are with our large client, and it's really maintaining them. It's not really something for public access currently.
Yeah, so again, our bigger client. I mean, it for that client, it is almost a 1-to-1. For every desktop app we have a mobile app we're developing for them. But
For
that's it. I mean,
web app, not a desktop app, but
web app. Yeah.
the only other one, which I don't even think I touched last year, it was years before. I actually needed to find that source code. I need to get my new laptop set up with Xcode or the Android library, because I guess it was 32-bit when I compiled it. I don't know. All I know is I gotta go in and do some work on it before the end of the year.
Yes, John does do some mobile work. So, to our defense, Ryan, we're not known in the industry for our mobile development. We do mobile development. We have a mobile developer that's all he does all day long is mobile development. So we have I mean, in my opinion, we have enough mobile development for our team size. But um, I imagine if you were a mobile developer, there would be just as much work for you as there is web work right now, in my opinion. Because
I would even say more.
Yeah, everybody's looking for mobile. And the cool thing about mobile is it's easy to bang out these small little apps where it just does one or two things. Um, I don't know if that's why you were asking that question or not, but yeah, we have plenty of mobile development, not as much as web, and we're not even a mobile development shop. So
It really comes down to, are people still creating mobile apps just around a web application?
yeah, and actually, it's funny.
Since mobile browsers have gotten so good lately, and most people are starting to get around the scaling properly. I don't know if you need a whole application anymore.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction to doom and gloom, because oh my god, my phone updated from Android 9 to 10 this week.
Mhm.
And not a lot to notice. They moved some stuff around annoyingly and added a dark mode feature. But it also started telling me when an application that isn't running got my location data.
Yep,
Yep.
that's
And all of a sudden,
nonstop.
I'm noticing all of these apps requesting location data that I never intended to give permission to when it wasn't running.
Yeah.
And that was awful. I mean, like Yelp, out of nowhere, hadn't opened it in a month and a half,
Mhm.
got my location data. And my phone is just like, hey, I gave you up your location data because it asked. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah,
The nice
that's
thing is they have tightened up the controls where you can do it only when I'm using the app now.
Right. And that's great. But there's like a bunch of apps that don't need my location data that we're getting it too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
And
chat apps.
now it's all being
Games.
revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons people want apps instead of browser stuff is to use these poorly implemented security protocols to surreptitiously collect data.
Yeah.
And I believe I had Facebook ask for microphone access while it was in the background.
Oh, I haven't seen that
Like,
one yet. Although I don't run Facebook on my phone, so.
you have a
I don't.
Pixel. You have a choice. I literally don't have a choice. The Facebook app on my phone cannot be uninstalled.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
And self-updates.
Yeah. I have Facebook on my phone. I'm pretty sure I have it on my phone. I just don't run it.
I definitely don't, because I do it through the browser and it's constantly telling me install the app, install the app. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, go away.
Now, on a related topic, though, in my industry, all web development is mobile development. It's not necessarily an APK or like an installable application,
Uh-huh.
but we focus heavily on developing for mobile platforms.
Mobile first.
Mobile first,
So
absolutely.
what happened? Well, so a couple things. Ironically enough, the only native mobile app developer we have is John, our primary mobile app developer who has done native stuff in the past. Doesn't do native app development not for us. He uses we use these JavaScript frameworks that allow you to run on both platforms or multiple platforms, and we've had a lot of success with that. I recently had, and I honestly didn't have enough information for my friend when he reached out to me, who said he was interested and was told that he should be looking into PWA. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty common response. You should be looking at PWA because that theoretically is the direction everybody's supposed to be going. But man, that
What's
seems to be
that?
taking a long time. PWA,
Yeah.
Progressive web apps.
yeah. So they're like web
It's
apps that you write at one time and it runs either on the mobile device or on the in a browser, and it's
it, it's supposed to work with the minimal amount of capabilities, and then as capabilities are available, it starts using those. Like your app should work without a camera, but if there's a camera available, now it can use it.
mm.
All right. I've exposed myself as a fraud on the podcast now. That's not good.
But I was telling him, I'm like, PWAs was supposed to be the next hot thing, and it was supposed to be that for like the last couple of years, and it really still hasn't exploded the way everybody expected it to explode. So I didn't really have advice to him. I'm like, I don't want to tell you not to do PWAs because it seems like that's what you should be doing it, but I'm not seeing a lot of them.
There's a similar thing with WebAssembly, isn't there?
Yeah, WebAssembly is another example of that. Yeah, but
I think it's just waiting
WebAssembly
for a framework.
WebAssembly is a little further off, right? I mean, that's still something that's being developed. I think isn't Google doing that one?
Mm-mm.
No.
1.0 is done and it's available in Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and Internet Explorer.
Yeah, no. I understand it's done, but it's not like nobody's raving about it yet. It's kind of conceptually this is what we're going to move to, but PWAs are supposed to be here today, and they're not really taking over the web like everybody had expected them to.
Okay, you guys are frustrating me. You Thomas says PHP 8's coming out end of this year. You said you know it, but everything I've found so far says it's September 2021.
Okay, so that's where I got my information from. There was a tweet from uh,
Larry Garfield.
yes, that apparently had a joke that was really easy to incorrectly interpret.
Where is this going?
Hold on, I'm finding the tweet that I was referencing.
Okay.
It's disappeared.
Yeah.
I don't know how it disappeared from my show notes.
Mm-mm.
That guy, Nikita Popov, sent out a tweet on the 10th that said, I don't know where people are getting their information from, but it's December this year, not September 2021.
Huh. Okay. I saw way more posts about it being September 2021, but Fine being wrong.
So apparently the first person to like tweet out a release date was Larry Garfield making a joke um, that references an account on Twitter that's now suspended. But that was not anything official. Nikita Popov is the official guy. So there's no plan for a 7.5 release. The 8.0 release is December.
Yeah, I don't know where I had heard that, and maybe where I had heard it wasn't an official source either, but I had heard that they were jumping from 7.4 to 8, and 8 was going to be released in 2020. So I I don't know. I could be full of it as well.
I think somebody tweeted that it was going to be 2021 before anyone had set a release date, and so a bunch of blogs jumped on it and said, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about, and he predicted 2021 September, like specifically. So just it got jumped on, and Google indexed everyone that jumped on it, and now it's the primary answer, even though it's incorrect.
I hate Google. You, oh my God, I'm gonna start raging here in a minute. We have been talking for so long about Google. I swear to God, if you want me to continue to give you money, fix your shit, man. Please fix your shit. We've been talking so long about the fact that we have a G Suite account and our Android devices are like our hubs and stuff. We can't get our calendars on it because of some goddamn permission thing. And step aside the fact that my Amazon digital assistant has no problem not only giving me my DiegoDev calendar, but for some reason she gives me John's DiegoDev calendar as well. I don't know how that happened, but I've been raging about this for so long. They say they're fixing it, they're releasing it. Oh, you can fix it now. Nobody I've seen has gotten it working. It doesn't work anywhere. This week, I reached a new level of frustration. I have a goddamn Pixel phone with Google Calendar on it. My goddamn calendar is on my goddamn phone. My phone is plugged into my radio, which is an Android Auto radio. The physical phone is plugged into the goddamn radio, and she still won't give me my goddamn calendar. She's like, I can't read your calendar. It's a G Suite calendar. I'm like, it's on the goddamn phone. It's like, I don't want to look at my phone to see what time my meeting is. You want me to get an tell me my goddamn appointments. Oh my God. Google, fix your shit. Fix your shit, man. Good God. I'm so pissed off with Google. Holy smokes. That has been going on way too long. It's been going way too long. I can't even begin to tell you. And the fact that every other digital assistant has no problem. Siri will tell me. Siri tells me my calendar all the time. My Google Suite calendar doesn't have an issue. The Amazon devices tell me no issue. I have stopped buying hubs. Like, I won't buy any more Google stuff until the shit gets fixed. Because they're worthless to me. If it's not giving me my calendar, I have to have that. I'm so pissed off. Sorry.
Man, I can't wait to hear how you feel.
So quick little sidebar there.
So that's your workout for the week right there.
Told you, emotions on my sleeve. Oh my God. Oh man, fix your shit, Google. Hey, you know what? I also think we've gotten a little too far along in technology. You want to hear a funny story? Do we all know what tomorrow is? Valentine's Day.
Valentine's
that's correct.
Day.
Yes. So I hope you all are all prepared for that. So I, being the good husband, and being forward thinking, and having my little to-do list and trying to stick to my to-do list, on Monday, placed orders for my wife for Valentine's Day. Basically flowers, right? And I was getting it from a place that we frequently shop. So we have a shared account on there. So I'm like, well, I don't want to order on the shared account because it's a shared account, right? So I went through all the hassle of creating another account on the shopping site, ordering these flowers for my wife, thinking, okay, there's no connection. There's no way. She doesn't even know I have this other account. All of a sudden, my wife says, hey, what's being delivered tomorrow, from UPS from such and such flowers. And I'm like, wait a minute, how'd you know that? She's UPS sent me a notification. Fucking UPS. So this company is sending the flowers through UPS. UPS gets this order, and of course the order's addressed to my wife because the flowers for her address. UPS says, "Oh yeah, we have this person in our system. Let's send them a notification that their flowers are coming." I'm like, son of a bitch! You like have to go into the internet and start digitally wiping footsteps away like it's some master hack just to send flowers.
That is.
Well,
I blame the flower shop for that one.
how's that?
Yeah, that's a UPS thing. She signed up and to get UPS orders, I'm sure, for the house.
Yeah, I can't. How can you blame the store for that?
But isn't a delivery of flowers always supposed to be a surprise?
Again, the store just ships it out through UPS. I mean, they can't.
Well,
say...
there's got to be a setting that says like don't notify or this is a gift or something like that.
You would think, yeah, you would think.
It would be on the flower shop to say, whenever we send flowers, don't put a tracking number on it or don't.
Oh, so now you're going to say this is my fault? Is that what you're saying, Thomas? Are you saying it's my fault? I didn't check a box somewhere. Are you blaming me now, Thomas?
No, the flower shop.
Sorry, it's been a long week, Thomas.
It's still not the flower shop's responsibility. If I sign up for alerts from UPS, I want those alerts. It's the flower shop can't tell UPS not to alert me.
That's why I order everything from China.
That's why I shop local.
Shop local. That's the way you do it.
I don't really shop. I'm terrible.
Last week, we talked about the vulnerability in the SHA-1 hash and how things are looking more and more bleak for that algorithm, and that Git runs on SHA-1.
You mentioned this, yes.
So an article came up in my feed today, published on the 3rd, that said a new hash algorithm for Git is in the testing stage, the unstable stage. Naturally, because Git is relied on so much by so many people, this is not something that they just want to change and then push out. So most of the work has been done. It just needs to be tested and tested and checked and checked and checked. But there is now a command that takes an existing Git repo and converts it into a SHA-256 based repo. And I'm happy. I'm glad that that's moving forward. But one of the interesting things was that when it was originally programmed, it was programmed expecting SHA-1 hashes very low level. So there is deep changes in the code to fix this issue. There's also an issue with how blobs are stored when you're dealing with the hashing. So you have to do something called frobnicate your blobs.
Excuse me? Actually, you should be frognicating anything. Sounds inappropriate.
And the convert repo command also has the option of climbing the subtree, so you can actually convert the entire history of the repo to this SHA, this 256 format. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about how Git is handling, or GitHub is handling this. As we all know, GitHub is the only place now to do Git storage. But
no, it's not. Liar.
What's the other one?
Bitbucket.
Huh?
What do you mean by Git storage? There's tons of other. There's what's the other Git? There's GitLab. There's Bitbucket. There's
Labs. Bitbucket. Yeah. There's others. Don't say only. Just say primary if that's what you want to say.
I don't think I said only.
Popular.
You
totally said.
I'll fix that in the edit.
Did you see GitHub released a new command line tool?
I saw that, but I didn't look at it at all because it's a ticket on your thing, and I'm not going to steal your stuff.
Yeah, no, I just mentioned it, so we can talk about it now. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's I just downloaded and installed it. It's nice because it apparently it respects upstream repos. So when like personally, what I do is when I clone a repo, I actually fork a repo over to my personal GitHub account, and then I clone it down to my local machine.
Uh-huh.
And then on my local machine, I'll create a pointer to an upstream where the source is, right? The where I got that code from. And with this, I didn't have to do any configuration or anything. With that pattern, um, get the GitHub command line. When I like queried about pull request, it went to the upstream repo and looked for a pull request for the repo I was working in, and it was like,
That's
wow,
fancy.
that's very fancy. That's one of the things I really wanted, and you can do a couple other things with it. I literally just downloaded it today and haven't really gotten into it a lot, but
I bet it's not just. I bet it's not the naming convention of upstream. It's probably any remote you have.
you think I was wondering that. I was wondering if it just figured out where you had forked, like if it went to your repo and says, oh wait, this is a fork of another repo, and just
Yeah,
kind of
that's
fold
not
it.
stored in Git. That's a GitHub proprietary knowledge. So it would have to hit the remote server to figure that out.
No, what are you talking about? If you add a, he's saying he added the remote locally.
Yeah, I had upstream locally.
So,
No,
so
he
if you
forked.
right, but
He forked
locally,
and
locally he added the remote back to the upstream. If you added another remote to my copy of the repo and there was a pull request in my GitHub account, you would probably see that as well.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. That would be a good question. Thomas, John is right. Yeah. So you're right. I forked it into my personal repo, but after I clone it down to my local machine, I add a remote back to upstream, so that when as upstream is being updated, because we work in teams, right? So we have multiple people working on it. So branches are constantly merged into master. So as I'm working on a branch, I will occasionally pull down from upstream the whatever master is, just to make sure my branch is staying up to date.
I've been speaking of Git and all this, I've been doing a lot of feature branch work lately
Mm-hmm.
and using rebase a lot. And then
rebase.
Yep.
using Git rebase, that's how you squash commits, but also using Git rebase onto a branch, referencing a commit, and then my current branch.
Wow.
Because
That sounds
so
complicated.
so it is to a point, but once you've done it a few times, it makes a lot of sense. So what was happening is you got your upstream master
Mm-hmm.
or develop branch. From there, there's a feature branch that everyone's working off of, and then from there is our pieces, our branches to it, right? So we open a PR from our branch to
Uh,
the feature branch.
Okay.
So after a handful of those PRs get merged into the feature branch, or work is done on the develop branch, the feature branch will be rebased against develop, not merged, but rebased against it.
Okay.
Well,
see,
that
why
now means
not merge?
rebase your. It keeps the history clean.
Yeah, that's what John keeps telling me, and I get that. I struggle with rebasing all the time. I can never seem to
So
do it right.
the way that rebase works for people that don't know is that rebase rolls back all of your commits to when you originally forked your branch. It updates the base fork and then reapplies your commits one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that's considered a dangerous way to do this behavior because conflicts can you can have conflicts that waterfall down really badly, which I have.
That that's where this onto piece comes into play. So if without the onto flag, I've had that issue where it's like every every commit afterwards is a merge conflict. And
Right.
it's like, it is a pain. But
So what does onto do?
it's I can't even explain it correctly. All I know
You
is
can
it
say
does
you
some,
don't know.
I don't know. It does some voodoo magic. I've read it a couple times and it makes sense seeing the the diagrams, but that doesn't really tell you anything. So
Well,
it's taking the commits from my local branch from the old version of the feature branch, but now that feature branch is completely changed. So now saying, go find the new spot of the feature branch and start only from my first commit. Where prior, without the onto, it goes back to a commit that both branches have in common. So it goes back to the beginning of the feature branch. So all of those commits of the feature branch have merge conflicts.
Gotcha.
So I lied. I can't explain it.
Well, I used Rebase a lot for when I wanted to bring a feature branch up to date, and I've pretty much abandoned that now in favor of doing a merge. Just because I've had tickets where people are working in the same thing, and as the senior developer, I wanted to make sure that when I undid what they were doing because I knew better than them, there was a log that was saying this was undone by me. Because when someone makes a change that I'm also in the area working on, and I end up doing something radically different because I've made a decision about how the whole thing is supposed to operate, if I were to rebase, I wouldn't have a history, a get blame history of me doing that. It would just be done to a very, very early commit. Because Rebase rewrites the history of the commit log.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of hard.
It's got to be used responsibly. You're not supposed to be rebasing.
Which is why I don't use it.
Because you're responsible.
That level of responsibility I'm just not prepared for. No, it's just I've found I have far fewer issues Git merging to develop than I do Git rebasing to develop. Yeah. And I can't tell you why. I just know that it goes a lot smoother.
I merge force everything. Get it over
with. He does a merge force and then pulls the plug on his computer halfway through the push.
That's right. That's right, man. I just like it to be a surprise. You know, see where we're at when next person pulls down. All right, I think we're running along, man. I think we're good.
I have just a touch of doom and gloom.
You did doom and gloom already.
Or bright and shiny.
Oh, wait a minute. I have we can do Patreon.
I think our Patreons. Hopefully we're all still streaming here. Thank you all of our Patreons for contributing to the show. We appreciate your viewership. And
yes.
Yeah. See, doom and gloom. All right, doom and gloom. Go.
And once again, the update on my new computer that I'm building is not funded by Patreon. Just one component. I have to make that clear because one of my components, which is insane.
Jesus, $700. Yes, that wasn't our component. That wasn't.
No.
Patreon did not pay for that component.
So, we discussed ICANN.
Hold on, Thomas. I think John just checked out. Oh, okay.
No. I'm watching.
All right.
Checked out long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
We discussed ICANN in their secret sale of .org domains to a for-profit company and how much that's not a good thing. It turns out that there was another secret deal made between ICANN and Verizon, which allows Verizon to be the owner of all .com domains and set the prices on .com domains. previously ICANN was the owner of all the .com domains, and it set a base price that hadn't changed since 2012. In this new instance, I've screwed up completely. Wow, I've lost my link. I totally lost my link somehow. I'll have to figure that out. But in this new instance, it allows Verizon to set the price 7% higher for the next 2 years, and then there's a year off, and then they can set the price higher another 7% 2 years, and then another year off, and so on indefinitely. So the prices will just keep going up and up and up and up.
It's interesting you should say that. I recently was looking for a new domain name, and that was like one of the things I noticed is like, wow, like a lot of these domain names all of a sudden are like a couple $100. Like it wasn't showing that it was like an and I just assumed it was like one of these auction sites being fed in, but it wasn't obvious that's what it was. And I remember thinking like, wow, I've never seen the price of domain names be so spread as I was seeing this day, and I wonder if that's why. That's weird.
So right now the base price for a domain is $7.85. Namecheap charges $8.88 because their markup is that $1.03. So that's how Namecheap makes their money off of it. But over the next 10 years, a domain name cost would, if Namecheap is making the same profit, a domain name would cost $17.50 per domain name, which isn't a huge difference if you buy one or two domain names. But if you're a company like mine and you own thousands of domain names, that's tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. That's up quick.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. And the problem is that the whole thing, again, was a secret deal, was not discussed openly, was not given to any of the people who were actually concerned with the sale. So ICANN is really just screwing the pooch. It's bad.
So somebody in ICANN is buying a new luxury boat and house and is very happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And then the last bit of news.
Okay.
A federal judge has blocked Microsoft from working on the Pentagon's multi-billion-dollar cloud computing contract called JEDI because he agreed
Space Force
that Donald Trump was unfairly biased against Amazon because of Jeff Bezos.
Huh.
So he halted the multi-billion-dollar deal called JEDI, which screw them for taking such a cool name. And now we've got this litigation between Amazon and Google about, is it fair if the president doesn't like the owner of your company and can cancel contracts based on that?
Yeah. I don't even want to go down that path yet.
Why not?
Oh gosh. Nope, that's it. We're done.
That's it. That's all I got.
178, ladies and gentlemen. You've survived. You survived another show of 3 of the ugliest developers you know. I'm Eric Van Johnson.
I'm John Congdon.
I'm Tom Rideout.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly. Woo.
Go ahead, John.
I so badly wanted to bring up Joaquin Phoenix's speech at the Oscars, but I didn't.
I didn't even see Joaquin Phoenix's speech at the Oscars.
About cows.
Was it about cows? Oh, of course it was about cows.
About cows.
Okay, yeah, I don't care so much. Hey, let me try something since we're still streaming.
I love that my son came home and used the bathroom next to where I'm recording, and apparently peed standing 10 feet away from the toilet. Because it's just a sudden waterfall in the middle of me talking.
I didn't hear it. So if I go...
Oh, yeah,
Turn on. All right. So active speaker works for you. I assume when Thomas comes back, it'll work for him. But as typical, hey Thomas, Thomas, say a word or two, will you please?
one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish.
It's so weird. Active speaker works for you two, but obviously doesn't work for me. So, I don't know if. I mean, I guess I could always just put myself on the screen.
I wonder if it's getting your audio through your mic and not Skype, so it doesn't know it's changed.
Well, no, because in OBS I only have Skype configured. So it's all of our audio and everything's coming in through Skype. It's Skype figuring out who's the active speaker between you two, but because I'm the viewer, I never become active speaker. I'm assuming I never become active speaker.
Go totally quiet. So I wonder if you're producing such an amount of low-level noise that's keeping it active.
No, it's not switching. It's not switching to him at all.
I'm never on the screen, no matter how much I talk or don't talk. Like if I can mute.
It would switch based on when you're not talking and when you are talking, and if it thinks you're always talking, then it would never know when to switch off of you. Do you know what I mean?
No. Otherwise it would always be showing my video. It's because I'm the client. Like right now, I can go completely mute. I turned off the music. And if I start talking again, it still stays on you. But if John starts talking, I'm sure it'll switch to him.
It's probably something where OBS is like, no, this is supposed to be used by a board op, not by a host. So
right, that's what I think was happening. So I think what it's expecting is, like my image would always be up here, and I would have a panel of people I'm talking to, and it would be whoever is active would pop up is what it is. So I have to fix
I can tell you, whatever happened, the thing that happened with my video card situation is leaving me with a ridiculously overpowered desktop at my desk here, because my old gaming machine has now been 100% replaced.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if I can fix that once I get that move made.
Oh, you're more than welcome to. I made some updates to OBS, and now we have this cool little background that changes as we're talking. So if somebody's actually watching the stream, if you watch, the background changes. That's literally the only reason I wanted to go back to OBS is because it wasn't like all of our faces smashed together. There's stuff, there's room on the screen for things. So. Also, real fast before we hang up, Thomas, John and I recorded PHP podcast this week, and we do that through Zencastr because we do interviews with people who don't have the setup, and even Oscar, who does do local recording, we do it. I logged into Zencastr this week, and it said, "Hey, do you want to upgrade to the new Zencastr that is specifically designed to remove drift?" And I'm like,
that's a yes.
Hell yes, I do. So I did that. I need to edit those podcasts this weekend, so I'll let you know how well it went. But like right off the bat, the thing I noticed is, like if we had an interview, I would typically have 3 streams. Well, now I have 4. There's an additional stream that I don't know what it's there for. I haven't done the editing yet, but I'll let you know how the drift is on those. We might want to switch back to that.
That I'm 100% willing to try it.
Yeah. All right.
We can double record to make sure.
Well, yeah, we would still do our local recording as backup. That wouldn't change. We just wouldn't be as dependent on it. And it's really nice. I mean, when the streams match up, it's so nice to not have to worry about it and go. It really helps.
Yeah.
Should do a clap check at the beginning and at the end, and see how those line up on a full thing. On a full audio.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Do the countdown. Do it now on this one.
Well, I already ended recording.
Oh yeah. So did I. I did because John told me to. Well, still a good idea, John.
I did notice that you recorded an extra 40 minutes more than me or John last week.
I did?
Yeah.
Was I saying anything on it?
I don't know. I didn't listen to it. I cut it.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear the intro for this week?
Yeah. It was basically the intro.
Yeah. I was very proud of how I cut that. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, no, that's not my worst. I've left my recording going overnight, where I've come in the next day and have been like halfway through work, and I'm like, oh, I'm recording. Holy shit, I've been recording since last night. All right. Anybody still watching? I don't even know where we have 2 people watching right now. Appreciate you. Thanks, Frank. Thanks for the good show. Appreciate that.
Thank you, everybody.
We're gonna stop the stream now.
Hang on.